We begin today with the Veterans and Their Families Resource Fair put on by the San Jose Vet Center. With me here are the director of the Vet Center, the San Jose Vet Center, Juanita Morales Euresti, and also an Iraq Wars veteran, Danny Katuda. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Am I correct when I say wars veteran? You served in Iraqi?
I went to Operation Iraqi Freedom twice. I had 2 tours.
I want to ask you about that, but you have the special resource fair for folks like Mr. Katuda, and I know in one ceremony we've honored Native Americans for their service, but talk about the resource fair that's coming up.
The resource fair is like a mini stand-down where we gather different agencies that cater to the veteran, whether they were in the war zone or not in the war zone during peacetime, going all the way back to World War II. And we have information available to them. Let's say, for example, they want to go to college. What do I have to do? They want to get a home loan. They want to register with the VA for medical care. We have all of those individuals there that can assist the veteran at that time. And we also give information because sometimes we might have a mother that has a son that just came back from the war zone, and she's concerned because, you know, he's not sleeping, está muy corajudo, or he is deprimido. What can I do to help my son? And so we have information for those individuals there at the resource fair.
And I've attended several of them, and boy, you do provide a lot of service for those who've earned the resources that are out there. You served in Iraq twice, sir. Thank you for serving, first of all. Welcome home, and what was that like for you?
Well, combat really isn't combat all the time, so there was a lot of downtime. If you're talking about coming home, you know, I was a really confused person, but while I was in Iraq, I had a lot of fun, made a lot of brothers. I learned a lot about myself and about our country.
But you saw a lot of this that we're showing here, and a lot of your comrades saw a lot of it.
That right there.
You did, and then you come back, and then we as a society expect you to be normal and to adapt once again to civilian life, and that's not always the case.
No, sir. I went through 2 divorces by the time I was 24 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a really difficult transition for me. You know, around other Marines, I was a squared away guy. You know, we went to school, went to work, you know, had a good time. With my relationships, I didn't talk to my mother for 6 years. Never got to say goodbye to her when she passed away in 2006. I really didn't have a relationship with my father up until 2 years ago when we were both going to readjustment treatment. So it was a really bad transition back home for me.
And one of the difficulties is getting the veteran who's returning home to seek out these services. One thing I've noticed about the San Jose Vet Center, and Juanita in particular here, is if I call as a news reporter and say, Juanita, I need access to a veteran, she is very protective of all of you. She's not going to allow me to come in and talk to y'all unless she feels it's something that needs to get out there. But for the most part, the answer for Juanita is always no. Does that make it easier for the veteran to seek the service?
It's kind of tricky. I mean, as an employee at the VA, we can't just have that break in trust between an employee and the veteran.
Right.
You know, when I got out of the military, that was the most difficult transition. The VA, I thought it was for the older guys. I thought only Vietnam veterans, Korean War veterans, and World War II guys go. I didn't think a 23-year-old guy could go in for a checkup at any time he wanted to. I kind of blame the military for that. You know, the military does a really good job of trying to keep you in, and once you say, hey, I don't want to be a Marine anymore, they go, okay, have a fun life.
And that's it.
That's it.
But real briefly, talk about
This is where we come in.
Right.
This is where we step in. We're the readjustment counseling services, and we do provide therapy for the veteran that is coming home from the war zone, from the wife, you know, that has had her husband in the war zone for 2, 3, I mean, sometimes these guys go for 9 tours.
Right.
For the children that are coming back and dad is distant, dad doesn't know how to communicate with them, so we have family therapy there at the Vet Center at no cost. Washington realizes that our veterans are coming back with readjustment problems because of being in the battlefield.
Sure.
And so they say, send us the bill. and they take care of that.
That's good. Well, it's an opportunity for you to seek out the resources that are available for veterans. It's the Veterans and Their Families Resource Fair. There is the information on your screen, April 13th at 10 a.m. at the Santa Clara County Fairgrounds Fiesta Building. There's a number to call also for more information. We'll be back and talk more about this resource fair when we continue, so stay with us. We are back here on Comunidad del Valle. Joining us now is another veteran, Alberto Carrillo, who's a friend of this community for many, many years. Welcome back to the show, Alberto.
Thank you. Thank you, Damien.
So you're here to make a challenge to a lot of folks because you really need the help.
Well,
as a San Jose Vet Center.
I like to say that it's not personally that I need. I think veterans in general. I've talked to people up and down the state, and we're not really getting support from foundations and large corporations, large companies. There's even medium-sized companies that should be encouraged to help veterans a little bit more, to be more involved in the financial end of the situation, because you've been to the center downtown and you see the numbers of veterans that come. It's not easy to feed them, at event after event. And so we formed a new committee that I'm heading, and we're trying to raise money for that. So that's why we want to encourage foundations and companies to be more supportive of veterans.
All right. And Danny, if you can, encourage some of our veterans out there who might be watching, who might be reluctant to either seek out the services at the Vet Center. How might this resource fair at the fairgrounds be kind of a buffer to kind of let them get kind of acquainted with what the services y'all have to offer and maybe lure them in that way?
All right. I would want them. I've been working at the VA for over 2 years now, and there are still things that I learn every single day about it. There's not a reason for a veteran to be homeless. There's not a reason for a veteran to go without health care. There's not a reason for a veteran not to be in school, furthering his education, or working. There's so many opportunities out there just for being a veteran. The amount of benefits that younger veterans are eligible for, or the ones that haven't even seen combat, but aren't making ends meet. There are so many financial elements that the VA could provide for every single veteran. I know that we as service members, we get out, we don't have that. We don't get the good brief, and there you're going to have over 50 vendors there that are going to give each veteran their specific amount of time to tell them, hey, this is what your benefits could get through us and through us and through us. So it's a good thing to go to.
I would imagine that the difficult part might be walking through the door, because after that, you're going to see what's out there. And when you meet people like Juanita and maybe sometimes Alberto, when you meet folks like this, they make that transition a little easier for you.
Well, me and Mr. Carrillo, we definitely, there's a age difference between us.
Significant, I might add.
Pretty much. But there's nothing different between him and I. There's that stigma when you get out and you go to the VA that, you're broke. And that's not necessarily true. So getting through the door, I can understand it. We don't want that label of being broke on us.
Plus, if there are veterans out there, you're going to run into other veterans who maybe were in your shoes at one time and now have sought the help and are trying to help you maybe get what is coming to you. Any thoughts on the resource fair itself, Alberto?
Yeah, I talked to a lot of the veterans, just like you said. We're not different in the sense that one thing you'll understand, I'm sure you already know, you're talking to two persons who are veterans, and we want to help veterans. We're helping veterans. There's only so much we can do as our own personal initiative. We like to see some veterans have initiative and approach us as veterans because we understand them better. You were just talking about how they talk to one another. We mingle with everybody because sometimes they're reluctant to go to a vendor, and they rather talk to myself, to Danny, to some others, Juanita, other people that they feel more comfortable talking to a veteran, and we help them break the ice, if you will. And that's very important for veterans, and we don't mind doing that. That's what we're there for.
That's what you're there for. Well, we want to see a packed house at the Veterans and Their Families Resource Fair happening on April 13th at the Santa Clara County Fairgrounds. Any final thoughts, Danny, before we let you go?
I got nothing.
All right, just come on out and enjoy it and talk to your fellow veterans. Well, thank you all so much for the work that you're doing for those who serve our country.
Sure.
All right, and up next, you're on Comunidad del Valle, San Francisco Sheriff Ross Mercury. Stay with us.